yes. Voicey yes. I see the voice. I hear the screen. Perfect, perfect, perfect. That means we're ready to go. Well, happy Wednesday to you guys. Welcome back to the live training room. Holiday shortened weekend or week. So this is our last live room of the week. We have Independence Day here in the U.S. tomorrow. Celebrating yet another victory over England. Heck of a game last night. Heck of a game. Hey, Johnny. Heck of a game. U.S. Women's World Cup was a great game. I was watching Brazil and Argentina in Spanish last night. That was a tough fought battle, I guess you could say, literally. Good stuff. But let's get started today by looking at the economic calendar. Johnny says, first time I have spoken ever. Well, technically, you've typed. I always thought it would be cool to have, do these things where it's like an actual, everyone has a microphone and they can chime in. But then you think about it in reality, it would simulate a trade desk. But I feel the type of conversations we had, it would just get out of control with 20-something people screaming back and forth, Nick making inappropriate jokes. And don't let Gabby get on here. It would get bad. Yeah, it would get bad. But we had some PMI news come out for the pound this morning. Negative news, which is exactly what the pound needs to be bearish, because it's just bearish anyway, so that helps. Later today, 8:15, so in about 45 minutes from now, we have ADP non-farm employment change. This is the precursor to Friday's non-farm number. So what that means is that the market will be, those who are trying to anticipate what Friday's number is going to be will take a look at this number, because typically they go hand in hand. A positive number here would project a positive number on Friday. Negative number here would project a negative number Friday. So it is a rather important news event pertaining to the non-farms. We have trade balance for Canada coming out at 8:30. We have 10 o'clock ISM non-manufacturing PMI coming out for the dollar as well. So a handful of news events coming out today. Real quick, let me just check tomorrow. Nothing major coming out tomorrow. Okay. So let's get started today. We'll go through, as always, if you guys have a place stat or a pair you want to check out, just type it in and let me know. We'll kind of go through the regular order here, starting with the euro dollar and working our way around here. So euro dollar on the daily. Let me make sure I write this down. Euro dollar on the daily. Essentially, we're at the same place we were looking at yesterday. Yesterday, we had a conversation on really my interpretation of the euro dollar and how we were at a place that I wasn't personally interested in. We've recently put in new structure highs. We've also recently retested previous structure resistance. So we're at a place where I don't necessarily think we're going to go lower because of the pattern of higher lows. However, we've already gone higher to a previous extreme, so a little bit risky as well to expect another move up to that area. So we're kind of stuck in a stalemate here. But what we found on the lower time frames as we went down was a minor level of structure right where that blue line is. Basically it's the middle ground between those two big bullish candles that you see there. And you can see this little area structure right here. Price action came down to here, and we put in a double bottom. Now, if you're someone that is looking to get long, is anyone looking to get long euro dollar, sitting back, waiting, twiddling their thumbs? It's not a positive or a negative if you are, I'm just asking. If anyone is looking to get long euro dollar, Latch says, I've been long. Either you have a buy right now, with this double bottom, or let's say if you're more conservative, what might you wait for if you're more conservative? Latch says 26.18. Anything else? Cucumber and lime water. I feel like I'm at a hotel. Wait for the higher high, higher close on this current candle. Price action has come down. It's giving you a candle that has spiked, right? Spiked the lows, tested the lows, did not hold, right? Wait for confirmation. Wait for a higher high, higher close above that candle as some bullish confirmation, and you can buy it at market after that. So again, double bottom at market right now if you're a double bottom trader. If you're looking for a little bit more confirmation, look for the higher high, higher close. And if you're really conservative, look for the 26.18. I do think a 26.18 would be rather hard to get, but that's just from my perspective. Everyone trades it a little bit differently. And I say it would be rather hard to get because in order to get a 26.18, what is the first thing we need to happen? We need price to do what? Yep, we need price to break above, I'll draw it out right here. Price to break above this line right here. If price breaks above that line, the chances are we're going to go and retest previous inside structure. And then again, depending on your rules on how you view the market after structure is hit, you may or may not want to involve yourself in another opportunity long here. But that's what a 26.18 type trade would look like here on the euro dollar if you're looking to get long. Let's head down to the 60-minute chart. It's going to give us a much more choppy view of what's going down here. You can see the same type of formation. Delete some of this. And again, what you'd be waiting for 26.18 is a break and close above this level. Again, on the 60-minute chart, it gets even a little bit more choppy because it breaks up this previous leg. And now you have something that looks like this. Even this may send warning signs of whether you're looking to get long or not, the previous retest of this level. But again, a 26.18 would have you waiting for a break and close above that level. A retest, either down the structure or to 6.8 if you're trading it more traditionally, and then a move higher. Heading down to the 15. Sorry about that. Let's get back to reality. Heading down to the 15-minute chart here. Not too much to look at. Heading down to the 5. If you're an intraday trader, again, if you're looking for just focused on long opportunities, I don't see any reason to get short here. If you're looking for maybe an intraday opportunity on the lower time frame to get long, and maybe you don't necessarily want a 26.18, or you're not looking for a higher high, higher close, you could look for a pullback into this area right here. Here's where the market came up and found some consolidation. So we've retraced, we extended higher, we retraced, right? Within this zone, if you're looking to get long, this is the area in which I would look for your buying opportunities and potentially a move higher. And again, this isn't me. I'm not interested in this, but just kind of giving different ideas, and that's my job here, is to kind of provide perspective no matter what the trader is looking at, whether you're looking to get long, looking to get short, counter trend, trend continuation. Hopefully just provide perspective that allows you to think about your trading idea, or if you guys that haven't chosen a style of trading, to think more about what type of trader you want to be. So let's take a quick look on the range bar chart, and then we'll move on to the pound dollar. Of course, if there are any questions, you can shoot them in. But range bar chart's going to give very similar view here on the range bar chart, so nothing really special here. Questions on euro dollar? I know you've got them. What are they? Gabby says, hey. Gabrielle Mob. Ooh. Man. She's organized now. Or organized militant. Tuning in for Coach Rants over my JBLs. Good product placement right there. During gardening, no typing, listening only. Love the podcast. Of course you love the podcast because I mentioned you. We just had, I'll tell you guys, we had a lot of work done. We had a total facelift on the house from a landscaping perspective over the last week or so. So they're finally done. We took a look outside. It looks like a brand new place. Looks like a brand new place. I'm like, who is this? Whose house is this? When did that door get there? Now, the pressure is to upkeep it. That's the pressure. Now we have to keep it looking nice, right? When things don't look nice, it's easy to let it go out of control, right? It's already out of control. Now that things look like nice, I told my wife that there's pressure now. We can't let it go back to how it was before. We can't let the jungle return. But it probably will. It probably will, knowing how busy our lives are. Got a good laugh after checking on what mob means. What does mob mean, Ollie? Why don't you explain to us? Mother operated business, right? A mother operated business. That's what comes to mind, no? Not a mother operated business? What else would it mean? Isn't that why all the older ladies have MOB tatted on their necks and whatnot? And their mother operated businesses, so we know. Let's go to pound dollar. See, this is why we don't have mics. This is why we don't have mics. For reasons like this. Perfect. All right. Mother operated business. I still think it's mother. I mean, until you tell me otherwise, I'm going to stick with mother operated business. Mommy operated businesses for moms. All right. Pound dollar. Same old, bigger story, head and shoulders, although I guess we are currently right now at the symmetrical level of the left shoulder. But we're seeing some pound weakness this morning. We're seeing some pound weakness all year, but we're seeing some pound weakness this morning off of a bad news event. I think if you're looking for a buy, and this is not a grade A setup in my book at all, but if you're looking for a buy, wait for the retest of that head. Wait for the retest of previous structural lows here and see if you can get some type of relief off of that. Again, if you're an aggressive head and shoulders trader, you can always look to trade the right shoulder. I don't necessarily see a reason to do that in this case, but I would look for a retest of our previous structural lows right here. In my opinion, the best case scenario is that we do not retrace right now and that we go directly down there. If we were to retrace right now, what would happen is the market would create a level of structure, which would make it very difficult for target taking. And what I mean is this, right? If we were to go straight down here, dive bomb, boom, boom, bang, what's up with that thing? Where could you potentially, if you're looking for a bullish move, give me some areas in which you could potentially shoot for targets at. MOB. I got to go back and listen to all these rap songs now. Now I understand what they're saying whenever they say MOB. George says 126. Latch says 126. Evens. Even handled number. Anybody else? All right, so you're looking at something like this, let's say. Now, let's say price action does this. We come here, we play around, we do this little dance thing, and then we come down. Does that change your target projection, or does that keep it the same? Or does it have no effect on it? If we follow kind of the blue path. George and Lat says it changes it. Yeah. I know for me, I would now be looking for maybe a 125.60 because of that recent level of structure created. So it takes about 40 pips of potential. Well, not. It takes about 40 pips of potential off of your profit. That could be the difference between a 1-to-1 risk reward. That could be the difference between a minimum pip amount. Who knows? So selfishly, I would hope that we go directly down there, and we see some type of V reversal, similar to what we had here. The more we kind of mosey down there, the more structure is created, the less great of an opportunity the trade is, in my opinion. So we'll see what happens with the pound dollar. Let's go down to the 60. Ale says, them wicks at 125.60s, I don't trust. Never trust a wick. I don't trust them. I don't trust them. $60, but then I need to see the risk reward. 60-minute chart here on the pound dollar. Again, this is where things kind of get just not interesting. We're at a location right now where the market's trying to figure out what it wants to do, whether it wants to continue moving down, whether it wants to continue moving up. I suppose if you're interested, if you're predicting that we're going to test those lows, the head, you can look for maybe a move in advance of that. You can see the market if I zoom in a little bit. The market previously broke structure at this level. You could look for maybe a retest and a continuation lower. You would have some decent levels of structure to break through in order to get there, but that could be an intraday opportunity. Looking for a short move in advance of the move to structure. Lat said bear cipher on, let's go back to the 60. 126.44. Is that these highs up here? $126.44, looking at 126.46s, X to A to B, B to C, C to D. I'll give you a C completion up at 126.26, or 126, excuse me, 126, 126.26, yeah. Okay, yeah, I was right. The number seemed weird, but yeah, 126.26. So you got a potential bear cipher here on the 60. Maybe viewable on the 15 as well. In fact, it'll probably be invalid on the 15. Let's just double check that. So maybe another one of those situations where one time frame has a valid one. Nope. Looks like it's valid on both. Check your data, of course. It's close. But potential cipher there. Heading down to the 5-minute chart. Again, you can see the consolidation going back up to the previous structure shelf right down there. And let's give a quick look on the range bar chart. See if that gives us any type of different look at the market. It does not. Any questions on the cable, on the pound dollar? Look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful. Breakout traders, you can look at this as a kind of a pennant pattern as well. That's another option. If you're a pennant trader, a breakout trader, right? You got your flagpole going down here. You got your pennant forming on the way up, your pennant or your flag forming on the way up. You look for a potential break to the downside. This is curious where that would put you if you get a 1-to-1 move here. One move put you at 125.25. What is with these double numbers? 126.26, 125.25. You messing with me, markets? You messing with me? That'll be a 1618 down there as well. You messing with me, markets? 125.25 would be right in that structure low, yeah. This little spike here, 125.43s. Yeah, so if you're looking at this, if you want to play this as a flag breakout or a pennant breakout, this 127 extension, that's essentially going to be the start of that structure zone, right? That's 125.40s. You can see it's right at the low of this wick, really the start of this white box. And then the 1618 and the AB equals CD is going to be more in the meat of that zone. So you've got targets that line up pretty decent with the already defined level of structure that we had in our chart, which is pretty cool. Ale says, Coach, what do you do if a pattern is valid on a higher time frame but invalid on a lower time frame? Well, which time frame am I trading it on? The higher one or the lower one? The higher one. And you said it was valid on the higher one, right? Yep. So what do you think my answer is going to be? What would you guess? What would you guess? Take it, yeah. The key word that stood out for me was valid. Valid. Yep, if it's valid, I take it. If it is valid, I take it. Now, if I'm only allowed to trade on the lower time frame and the higher time frame is used for something else and it's invalid on the lower time frame, then I cannot take it because it is invalid. Just want to hear sometimes I'm thinking, yeah, look, yeah. End of the day, if it's valid, take it. If it's not valid, don't take it. We can make it as simple as possible. If it's valid, take it. If it's invalid, don't take it. Now, as far as keeping your mind under control, in general, because some people may get freaked out by seeing you have a valid pattern on let's say a 4-hour chart, but then you go down to the 60-minute chart and it's invalid, and some people that may freak some people out. Now, again, if you're sticking to the rules where it's like, hey, what time frame do I trade it on? Is it valid on this time frame? Yes, then that's all you need to know. But if you get a little mental, always remember that lower time frames are less important than higher time frames. So in my opinion, a lower time frame should never convince you to change something you're doing on a higher time frame. And maybe never is not the right word. I'm sure if we can find an example, but the lower time frame shouldn't affect your higher time frame perspective. A great example is a break of structure, right? If we have two time frames, let's say we have a daily time frame and a 60-minute time frame, and we're using both of them in our trading. The daily time frame has a hold. Let's say a 240 and a 60. That's kind of more realistic. If we have a hold of structure on a 240, but we have a break and close of structure on the 60, which is more important for you placing judgment on the market? What would you say? And again, assuming you're using both of these time frames, which is a more important message clue? The 240, the higher time frame, right? So what happens on the 240 is more important than what happens on the 60. What happens on the daily is more important than what happens on the 240. So the higher time frame is always going to be a cleaner look of the lower time frames. So if that helps to keep you a little bit mentally sane, then you can certainly use that. No problem. That's what I'm here for. I am here to confirm. Here to confirm. All right. Any questions on the pound? Here to stop those negative thoughts from creeping in. Especially with those who are back testing and overthinking. We have a few overthinkers in our group, which is normal. I guess you'd rather overthink than underthink. Yeah, I think you would rather overthink than underthink. But sometimes we think so much we get analysis paralysis. And I was like that a lot in my trading, where I just, I'd look at a chart and I'd see 18 different ways to trade it. I'd be like, I can get short, but I don't want to get short because I might get long, but I can get long in advance of the short. But the market might think that I'm getting long in advance of the short, and it might go short first, which would interrupt my long. So I'm going to get long because the market thinks that I'm going to get short because it thinks that I think it's going to get long, and I'm going to trick it by getting short. Then I would sit there and just head would blow up and I'd collapse somewhere in my room. But yeah, it's easy to overthink, especially when you're trading. Again, the big thing with me when I was doing counter trend, I was attempting to be a counter trend and trend continuation trader at the same time. And every time a double bottom formed or a retest of structure formed, I had no idea what to do. I was like, well, I got to hold it because if we're going to see an extension, we're going to blow past this level. But what if the bulls are interested? What if they're going to hold this level? I should get short. And I just freak myself out and worst. The bright side of analysis paralysis is that you get to the point you need to have knowledge. Yeah, but it's too much knowledge though. That's the thing. It's knowledge without direction. It's uncontained knowledge. It's giving someone a Gatling gun that doesn't know how to aim it. Right? It's giving someone a Gatling gun that you don't trust. It's a bad idea to start firing off everywhere. But the picture will clear up with hard work. Yeah. Yeah. For some. I mean for many many never get out of their own way. Many never get out of their own way. But I think hard work and working on the right things. Because I mean, it's sad. I've got traders I've spoken to since I started teaching who haven't changed one bit. You guys know how long I've been teaching for? Do I know how long I've been teaching for? Yeah, eight years. This is my 8th year. 2012 when I started teaching, I think. Right? I've got traders, no lie. I've got traders that I've spoken to who, if we go back to the first conversations we've had in 2012, there's going to be zero difference. Now, like you said, you would question these traders' hard work, right? Typically, well, no, it's not. It's not weird. It's normal. It's not normal for you because you guys are in the 10%, but it's normal. I mean, how many of you guys have lazy friends that complain about money but sit on their couch all day and do nothing? Like I would say that's the norm, yeah. Unfortunately, but you guys are in the 10%, so you're blinded by you're blinded by the community that we have here at Tier 1, or you're blind, like George says, cut them off, cut it, right? But yeah, I mean, I've had conversations with people where I've spoke to them 7 years ago, and the conversation is exactly the same. And you guys know me, right? I try to help people. So I tell them, hey man, you want to do this or you want to focus on that, right? It takes a lot for me to give up, but like some of these people, I just don't care anymore. The way I see it, if you've made zero progress over what 7-8 years, like there's like you've made your mind up. You've made your mind up that you don't want to be successful. But it's yeah, I see that a lot, different people. And it's always the same story. I want to try this, I want to try that. Hey, I'm trying this now. Hey, I'm trying that now. Hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Hey, if I only had this, I would do that. If I can only do this, I would do that. And it's like, well, if you only could, why don't you do it? Instead of saying, if I only could, get out there and do it. Well, if I only had the time, right? I got a person I've spoken to, right, who always complains about not having the money to get properly educated. Now, the real deal is he doesn't want to invest the money to get properly educated. That's we can see right through that. We all know to deal with money. Money is the easiest thing to get. There should never be an excuse for getting money or for not getting money. And this is coming from the guy that cleaned toilets at night, which wasn't a bad gig. I mean, it wasn't, the toilet part wasn't great, but it was good money. It was easy work. I mean, cleaning is it's not the most glorious job, just like trash collecting, right? Isn't the most glorious job. I guess trash collecting, you go home with the smells, but waste management people, they make a good buck. At least that's what I've heard. They make a good buck. I made a pretty good buck cleaning banks and preschools. I prefer the banks. Banks are a little bit cleaner. Then you get to fantasize about how you would rob them and stuff like that, but you don't actually do it because you go to jail. That's kind of fun. You got to do stuff to buy, you get bored cleaning stuff. You got to do stuff to buy time. No, seriously, I mean, my mind always works like that. Where I had a conversation the other day, and I'll get back to the point. I did an interview yesterday for a podcast, which is coming out Friday, by the way. Not on my podcast, but I'll share it with you guys. But we were talking about just the evolution of humans and how we're losing certain senses. Right? Do you guys know why we're losing certain senses? I always like to say we're becoming soft, and we are becoming soft. We're becoming really, really soft as a race, or as a not as a race, as human beings, as a species. But yeah, we don't use them. We don't use them, right? The natural instinct is to have a great awareness of your surroundings, even from like the hunter-gatherer days, right? Before we were kind of the big dogs, right? When we were cave people or whatnot, we weren't top of the food chain. Right? So everywhere you're at, you have your sense of smell is heightened. Your sense of, your vision and your alertness is heightened because you're always aware of what's around you. What's that rumbling? Did you hear that? What's that rumbling? Could be a predator, right? Save my life, save my life, save my life. Self-preservation, right? Now that we've created these safe places, many people, vision, we're aided by glasses, right? Sense of hearing, we're not on. Most of us aren't on edge all the time, or we don't think our life is threatened at any single moment. So we no longer use our senses the same way, and we're losing them. There was a cool article about I forgot what species it was, but many you'll notice with many animals, right? Many animals they can sense like natural disasters before they happen. I don't know if any of you guys don't go into live in Florida or whatever like that, or one of the places down where there are like hurricanes and stuff like that. If you watch the animals, they know well before it happens. There's a bird called the ibis that it's kind of like the warning bird. It's the bird that it senses like hurricanes and tornadoes well in advance. It lives down in Florida, and it will actually warn the other animals. And then it's the first one to come out and check to make sure everything's safe. And it's pretty cool. But they have this sense. Imagine if we had that sense where the hair in your arm stands up and you're like, I think a hurricane's coming. Hypersensitivity. I don't know. That may be something else as well. I think hyper isn't that, 'cause that also falls into like being hypersensitive to like lights and stuff as well. I think this is more of an instinct type thing, but I'm sure it's part of it. It's probably hypersensitivity used in a different way. But it's more of an instinct, right? Because just like an instinct in trading, right? You guys ever look at a chart and be like, I think it's gonna go up. but I can't really put my finger on it, right? Or you guys, again, I grew up in a situation where I was always on alert. So I've been in many situations where I walk into an area and I'm just like, something doesn't feel right. Like, let's go. And I can't tell you why. I can't tell you why, but I just feel it. I'm like, it's time to get out of here. And then later on you hear on the news, oh, someone got shot. I'm like, told you. Like, it was something you sense it. I don't know the science behind it. But I know we have it because animals have it. The fact is that animals use it all the time because they're always they're always in danger. Right? You guys ever try to catch a squirrel or a rabbit? How quickly do they notice you and take off, right? We don't use it as humans because we don't need to, right? We don't need to use it. We're at the top of the food chain. We are in safe environments relative to other species. God, now I forgot what we were originally talking about. George says, but it's something that, I definitely do think it's something that could be relearned. I mean, we have the ability in our brain. You may not notice, we control what our brain does. We just don't actually do it, but we can control what our brain does, right? The brain has neural pathways, which are kind of like the highways of stuff, right? We can create those. We have the ability to create them. I mean, it's a very simple example is think about a bad habit. Have you ever kicked a bad habit? It's doable. It takes time and effort to kind of reroute it, but we have the ability to create those. I think it depends on the task that is very difficult. I mean, how many of you guys have learned to see an impulse leg? How many of you guys are looking at a chart right now completely different than you did years ago? I mean, you've learned that. You've taught yourself to do that. How many of you guys have learned any other type of skill? It's very similar. Now, obviously, some things are more difficult than others, right? But even stuff like the mindset, like growth mindset versus fixed mindset, you can go from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. You can will yourself to being successful. You can literally will yourself to success. It takes a lot of convincing. It takes the right actions. It takes surrounding yourself with the right people, but you can do it. It's doable. Nomi said, but then even going to something thinking is difficult is not a good way to change it. Yeah, I think it depends on the person. Some people like a challenge. Some people are the opposite. Some people won't do something unless they think it's difficult. And there are people like that where it's like, I just like the challenge. People do stuff just because of the challenge. Yeah. Other people get highly defeated where it's like, oh, if it's too difficult, I won't even do it. And I think that's how most people are. Most people are afraid of the challenge. Like, I'd rather take the easy route than the hard route. But yeah, it's certainly doing it. I know. I think changing how you react to stuff is a little bit difficult. I think it depends. I mean, here's an example. Like, so what if we put you in a situation where you lived in what if I put you in the jungle? What if you were Lady Jane and Tarzan? If I dropped you in the jungle and I said, hey, you're going to live out here for the next 5 years. Good luck. I think you would change. I think you would adapt to your situation, right? It would be rough at first, but I think you would adapt to your situation of, okay, I am no longer the top of the food chain. I know there are lions, there are bears. Like, your senses would adapt. And I'm sure, and other things, you would lose other things, I'm sure. Like, I don't, some of the stuff like technology-wise that we would go back to how we were before technology. I mean, here's another a very easy example, right? How many phone numbers do you know off the top of your head? How many? I know 3. Well, not counting my number. I know my wife's number. I know my best friend's number. I know my house phone number. That's all I know. Now, why do we not know that many numbers? Because we don't need to, right? There's no need to know it, right? I just need to know a name. Type in Naomi, okay. I don't even type in N, and then I push the button and call. But what if we took away the technology to save numbers? Would we just no longer be able to remember phone numbers, or would we just have to train that skill and go back to it? Yeah, we would adapt. It would be tough. We had to go back to writing it down, and we'd have to probably look at the piece of paper. But eventually, we would remember all the numbers. And I remember as a kid, I knew all my friends' numbers by hearts. I knew about 10 numbers by heart because that's what you did. But as soon as we didn't have to do it, we started losing it. So I think it's certainly you can adapt to it now. Going as far as like sensing tornadoes in advance, I think that's that would probably take generations. I don't think that's maybe a skill set that you learn 5 years in the jungle. But I think like the basic stuff, being a sense of hearing goes up, right? Maybe vision is more physical now. Although I've read a lot on training your muscles and stuff like that, but sense of touch, sense of feel, right? The attention to detail with vision, looking at footprints, smell would heighten, right? I believe all that stuff can come back. And again, I have no science background or anything like that. I just watch a lot of Nat Geo. But stuff like that. George says you can't fix your eyes. You can't fix them, but you can. I've heard, and I don't know if this is true or not, George, but I've heard about like training your muscles, not necessarily to fix them, but to slow down to slow down I don't even know what it's called when your eyes, not disintegration. But you get what I'm saying, to kind of slow down the process of your vision getting worse. Again, I don't know if that's true, but I got a very smart friend that taught me these eye exercises, and again, I don't think it doesn't fix it. I don't think, but I think it helps. I guess like just like the weight room, like eventually you're going to lose muscle mass as you get older. 815 ADP just came out. Eventually, you're going to lose muscle mass as you get older. But perhaps you can, or your body's just going to age as you get older. But if you live a healthy lifestyle, you can probably slow down how badly it ages. If we can make ourselves sick, we can heal ourselves, all in our mind. I live in Tornado Alley. You can sense storms that are possibly creating tornadoes. And I'm sorry to get on this subject, guys, but this is interesting. Here's an interesting thing too. I've never had this, but I've had friends that have had like surgeries and whatnot. And you may be like this too. They're some, like, their limbs will hurt when it's about to rain. Like I had a girl that tore her Achilles. I had a guy that a bunch of knee and calf issues. And like on days when it's about to rain, like their legs just starts going crazy. And at first I just thought they were crazy, but that's happened repeatedly. So there's something inside of them. I don't know. It's the what's it? Barometric pressure and stuff. Yeah, George says I feel it in my shoulder. Yeah, the barometric pressure. So we've gotten totally off track. There was a point of this rant, and I have no idea where we started at. I have no idea where we started at. But keep an eye on the cipher for pound dollar. Yeah, I need to write down what my point was before I go off somewhere. It was the person that never adapted. I don't know what the point was, but that's what we were talking about. The person that is coming to me 8 years later that hasn't changed one bit in trading. And it's simply because they won't take action. They won't take action. They just think they're going to sit back. It's going to come to them. And it's sad. It's sad. And you hate to say it. You give up on people like this. Because it's not worth, if someone's drowning and you're reaching a hand back to help them out and they're just giving you dead weight, all you're doing is hurting yourself. Am I wrong? All you're doing is hurting yourself and hurting your chances of survival. You might as well find someone else that wants to survive and help them out. So on the 60 Gab Mob, 60. All right, let's go over to how do we get on these conversations? Let's go to Euro Yen next. Darn you, Naomi. I'm just gonna blame Naomi. Darn you, Naomi. But seriously though, not to get on it too much, but it's in yesterday's interview we talked a lot about intuition, right? Intuition is a real thing. I mean, you're doing, maybe not to the same degree as your heightened senses, but you're doing the same thing in trading, right? Do you guys understand that? And we when I was talking to the trader yesterday, he was talking about his trading style. He's like, he said it's 80% rule based and 20% intuition. Now, what do you guys think about that before I go on? It's 80. He's 80% rules based, 20% intuition. He's more he does forex and crypto. We had a good conversation on the crypto market too. Lat said, I like it. Anyone else? How you feel about that? Should it be 50-50? 100, 0, 0, 100? 75, 20? And then 5% of something else? But you'll see a lot of traders use that. Even you guys familiar with Peter Brandt? Peter Brandt, he's one of my favorite one of my favorite traders. I just like his philosophy on things. A lot of people hate him because he's really stubborn. But he's old and he's very successful. He's had I forgot the numbers, but I think it's like 36 out of the last 40 years in profit. So I think when you do that, you can be as stubborn as you want. I like him. And fortunately, actually, he reached out to me the other day, which was I had a giggly little girl moment. He reached out and just thanked me for kind of the content I was putting out. And, I was like, one of those things. And I was like, you're welcome. You're welcome, Pete. I do what I do. I do what I do for the people, Pete. And then I went back to, yeah, appreciate it. It's one of those awkward moments where I don't know how many guys give handshakes or dap or anything like that, where you give the wrong handshake. That's another interesting story. How to give the right handshake. That's a tough read, man. Everyone does it a little bit differently. You go palm to palm. Do you do the finger? Oh, it's tough. But anyway, I've gone for the handshake into the hug, and then the other person didn't want to go into the hug, and it was like, you had to reach it. Those are the real problems in life. That's the biggest thing I face. How do you give the right handshake to people? Yeah, especially in a professional. Yeah. And it's always like it's the shake, and then it's like, do you do the little finger lock at the end, or do you just slide right off? Or, some people snap. I can't snap with my right hand. I can only do it with my left. So when they snap, I make the noise with my mouth. I go and try to pretend it's a snap, and then they look at me like, what was that? I said, I can't snap. So I just tried to make it with my mouth, and then it gets awkward. Because you can't really make a snapping noise with your mouth unless you click your tongue. And I'm not clicking my tongue at another grown man. That's one thing I'm not doing. I don't judge in these days, right? I don't care, but I just don't want to send the wrong message. That might be a message I don't want to send. Look, like snapping your finger, right? like that. Like in order to make that with your mouth, you got to like, I'm not going to do it. You're trying to trick me, trying to bait me. I'm not going to do it. But you got to like click your tongue to make that same noise. And again, I'm not clicking my tongue at another grown man. This is something I'm highly against. But Peter Brandt, in his book, I read his book. This is horrible. I read his book called Diary of a Professional Commodity Trader, Lessons from 21 Weeks of Real Trading. It's funny. I think it was supposed to be like 24 weeks, and he just didn't do the other 3 weeks. But he mentioned in his book, his book was basically him journaling his trades for 21 weeks. Like a kind of like a, what we do here in the live room where you come in, you see his trade all the time. It was him basically doing that with his trades. He was walking you through every trade he took and the analysis and this and that. And if I remember correctly, he had a few trades in there that weren't rule based. And I think he mentions, he's like, every once in a while, he said, I'll take a trade, and it's like, it doesn't really fit the rules, but I'll take it. And it may not be an entry for a trade, but it may be an exit. And he talks a lot about intuition. So he's someone that he's not 100% rules based. He's someone that uses some intuition where maybe most of it is rules based. Most of it is rules based, but then some of it is just off of years. I mean, you're doing this for 40 years. You'd like to think you gain some experience. Some of it is he looks at the market and he's just like, I know. So it's interesting. And yesterday we were talking, I'm 100% rules based. Teaching has a lot to do with that as well. I can't rely on intuition because if I take something and you guys ask me about it, it's not a responsible answer just to be like, yeah, George, I just felt like it. Because now rookie trader, right? Antoine is going to come in and be like, okay, well, coach just took it because he felt like it. It's okay for me to do it too. And that's a big no-no for newer traders. But the question is, when are you skilled enough to do it? So it's a slippery slope. So I'm 100% rules based, but as I always talk about, my rules have evolved over the years where, as I develop this intuition and I see certain things, I have the ability to be very flexible in how I trade, meaning I have very aggressive entries. I have very conservative entries, and I can use them in different places. And that's what we always talk about, where it's like, hey, if there's an opportunity with a great risk reward, I can afford to be more aggressive. However, if there's a trade with a lower risk reward, it doesn't seem like a great opportunity, I'll enter it, but I'll take a more conservative approach. So that's how I put intuition into my trading. I'm 100% rules based, but I've created those rules with enough flexibility where it gives me kind of room to go left and right and really use that intuition as long as it fits within the rules parameter. So that may change over the years. Who knows? I didn't really even think about intuition in trading until probably about 2 years ago, I would say. When I just started noticing things that I was doing and it was intuition. But I'm not totally against it. Again, it may seem hypocritical to say that. And I think me and Gabby had a discussion once on the chat. I was talking to a trader and I was like, no, you don't need to backtest that. And she was like, what? And it was more of I forgot the specifics of what it was, but I think it was some intuition based thing. But yeah, I'm not against 80-20%. Again, I think I'll always be 100%. I don't trust myself enough just to go off of feel. And again, it's the nature of me being a coach and needing to explain it. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. So that helps in a way. But it's interesting because you're seeing a lot of pros do it. It's not a bad thing. I think the hard part is understanding when you're ready. Because if you're not ready to do it, then it's going to be damaging to you. So you got to be responsible with it. Responsibility. Naomi said, I think that's different if you've been doing it for years. Yeah, I think it's being responsible. Again, it's we go back to giving someone a weapon. Right? You give someone a weapon that has been trained in the military or they've been trained to use it for years and years and years, right? You feel pretty confident in saying, hey, just take this, whatever. Versus giving it to someone that is never seen a gun before. Experience plays a lot in your trust. It plays a lot in your confidence. Now the question is how do you know when you're ready? That's, I'm not sure if there's a quantitative way to measure that. I guess it has to be intuition in its own right to know when you're ready to use intuition. I would certainly say it has to be done years and years and years after you've been trading. It shouldn't be something, you shouldn't be a first year trader and doing intuition. It should be something maybe you're 3, 4, 5 years in when you truly start to sense it. And then go back, at least in my opinion, go back and kind of test to see if your senses are right. But anyway, all right, I feel like we should do a clean. Let's do euro yen here. Euro yen yesterday we had the two ciphers. First one was stopped out, boom. Second one, if you guys got involved, you're getting a nice little reversal here at the 786. We're a little bit above the entry. Original entry was at 121.46. Price is trading right now at 121.60. So perhaps we may get a retracement and may give a second opportunity to get involved. But yeah, small one stopped out. Big one is filled. Again, if you're looking for, I guess it wouldn't be a structure reason here. Let's say it's a nice candlestick combination forming right now, where you have a small test of the lows, and we're not technically at structure, but the 786, a small test of that 786. You have a longer bearish test and a rejection. A higher high, higher close would be a very positive sign for you guys that are in the cipher. Of course, the one issue structure-wise with the cipher is that you're running right into the B leg, but you know those risks before you get into the trade. 57 minutes. All right, let's go down to the lowers. The lowers could be on double bottom alert. Well, maybe not. Yeah, no double bottom alert here on the 60-minute. So it looks like the 4-hour higher time frame is going to be really only the time frame that shows us any love. Yeah. Take a quick look at the range bar charts. Yeah, even that is stanky. Stanky. All right. Any questions, Euro Yen, or any questions before we take our first break? Big rant this morning. I thought it was fun though, fun and entertaining. If you guys are new to the live room, that's what you're gonna get. I mean, we're gonna do our chart work. Don't get me wrong, but we're also gonna talk about other things that are important, or things that I feel are important, and have fun in the room. Looking at the markets all day is boring, especially if there's not a lot happening. There are days we'll lock in and things will go super fast, but again, we're dealing with a holiday week here, so things are a little bit slow. All right, let's put 13 minutes on the clock. Train your senses to guess when 13 minutes will be up, and I'll see you guys then. All right, gang, back just in time. Hey, Andrew's in the building. Gab Mob is back. I'm trading out of baby mode with position size enough just to feel pain. Don't think I'm gonna trade this week. Hey, be portable to live rooms. Gabby's pretending to be Jane in the garden, swing from left to right, listening to Coach go ranty, laughing my butt off. My neighbors think I lost it. You've been lost it, Gabby. You've been lost it. All right, let's go to pound yen. Let's go to pound yen. We've all lost it a little bit though. And let's check out the declining pound once again. Let's just make sure I get the timestamp on here. And once again, we're doing just enough in the market not to really provide us with a great opportunity. So checked out the charts this morning, and I thought we would have a break and close below our previous structure lows as the pound was rallying down, or declining, I should say. But now we're retracing a little bit of that, and looks like we may hold this level. So Trend continuation traders, this isn't a good sign. You want to see a break and close below that level if you're looking for a chance to get short. Do understand we are in that area of the wick of madness. But you still need that break and close below. A hold of that level would be a good sign for what type of trader? Yep. A counter trend trader. Like I said, took my first day trading loss on that, but made it back. First day trading loss ever? Congrats, man. Now you got it out the way, right back to winning. Right back to winning. All right, let's go down to the lower time frame here. Let's go down to the lower time frame here. Again, that yellow line is the hold, is a previous structure, I should say. You can see the RSI is scooping below that 20 level. For you guys that are new, I use an extreme RSI. Your traditional RSI is going to be 70 and 30, 70 for overboughtness, 30 for your oversoldness. I use 20 and 80, so I'm looking for extreme overbought conditions and extreme oversold conditions. Doesn't matter what you use, in my opinion. All that matters is you know what you're using it for. So I like those extreme levels. We did a little bit on the RSI the other day, but just understand we talked about the period and whatnot. The longer the period you use for your RSI, the less overbought and oversold signals you're going to get, the less trading opportunities you're going to get as well if you're using it. The faster period you have, the more overbought and oversold signals you're going to get, but also the more false signals. Hey, Tommy, welcome back. Welcome back. So price action has tested previous structure lows. We've tested it twice. You guys like, or I like when it probes down there. We've probed down there on the first red candle, tested that level. Sellers got rejected. Buyers pushed it up. Sellers tried to strike again on that second candle, the current candle currently printing, which will close in about 13 minutes. Sellers tried to push it down. Buyers pushed it up again. A good sign for continued bullish movement would be what? What would be a good sign for continued bullish movement? A higher high, higher close. That would mean that not only did the buyers, the bulls, win the session, but they overcame the extreme highs of the previous session. Now, the one problem that I have, and this may look different on a lower time frame, we'll see. The one problem that I have, once again, is predicting if we are to go higher, where are we likely to go? And there is just not enough room for potential profits for me. Now, looking at the chart in front of you guys, if you were interested in taking a buying position here, where would you be looking for profits at? By the way, random thought, if you guys have any good zucchini recipes, let me know. Been binge eating zucchini lately, so I don't want to get bored. Yeah, trying to support our local farmers, Naomi. We have I like eating healthy. There's a stand, and we'll get back to this real quick. I want to do another rant, right? I love, there's these stands that sell like fruits and vegetables, right? And there's a new one that was posted on my normal route. Right? Usually I got to go out of my way to find one, and I'm lazy. I'm not going out of my way, but this is one that is on my normal route to my other office. So I pass it every day. And they have stuff where they're selling, right now they just have zucchini and cucumbers. There's going to be melons and stuff later. The strawberry season is kind of over. But it's like, 3 cucumbers, 50 cents a cucumber, 3 for $1, something like that, right? Not bad. There are cheaper places, but the cheaper place that I go to is this big farmer's market. It's about 45 minutes away. It's only one day a week. It's just, it's not worth the travel. No, maybe one day I'll grow zucchini. our stuff in order back there. But we'll have a garden eventually. Probably when the kids get a little older, we'll make it into a learning opportunity. But and zucchini grows like wildflower, man. It grows too much. But I was looking at these stands, and something I've always liked about the stands is that it's the trust factor. Brings me back to an old day, right? The trust factor of here's fruit and vegetables just laying out here for anyone to steal, but they're trusting that people will do the right thing and actually pay for it. And I think that's kind of cool. Like I told my wife that, and she's like, isn't that what you're supposed to do? And my first thought is like, all right, well, what's stopping me from just like taking all these vegetables and just leaving? Or picking up 4 and only paying for 3? And again, that's maybe a product of my environment type thing, but that's the first way I think. Like I wouldn't put fruits and vegetables on the stand and trust people to do the right thing. I don't trust people that much. So I think it's kind of cool that there actually is that trust, where it's like, we trust you to do the right thing. We trust you to put the money in the box and take the fruit. And I think it kind of brings back to an old day before we lost trust and everything and the world was nicer, perhaps. Maybe the world wasn't nicer and we just thought it was because it wasn't as televised. But I don't know. I think that's kind of cool. Like people trusting people. No one's at the stall. Now, like me, I'm like, they got to be hiding out in the car somewhere. But no, because it's open all day, so they're not sitting there all day watching it. Like some people, there are other stands where there is someone that does that. It's like right outside their house. So as soon as they see somebody walk up, they'll walk out there. There are other stands like that, but this one is just, it's in the middle of nowhere. Well, not in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it's in this like a small parking lot, but there's no, I don't think anyone's there unless they're in a window watching. Now it is right across from the police station, but police say they don't care. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's cool to have the old trust. I even like the other place I told you about. It's this massive farmer's market where, I mean, you can get anything. Basically, you can get, you get meat, veggies, fruits. You get like people there selling knives and stuff like that. And it's kind of, it works on like the barter system, where you go up there and you'll look at like some fruit and you'll be like, I'm willing to pay you this much. No, it's gonna be this much. Well, how about this? And you can actually barter back and forth. I think that's pretty cool because that's how, that's how it was a while ago, where you come to an agreement. It's kind of like, I don't know, maybe it's the economics nerd in me. You come to an agreement where both parties are happy. Like the point of a sale is when both parties find value in the result. The seller leaves happy, the buyer leaves happy. That's like the optimal sale. So I don't know. I think that stuff's kind of cool. I belong in a simpler time. Let's just steal some. Yeah, really. Yeah. Every time I go, and I feel nervous because I think people are judging me. I think people, cause I sit there, I feel the veggies a little bit, and let's be honest, I'm a black man, right? I'm a black man living in a certain town. I feel like people are and younger, that plays a role too. I'm always over there, and I like to feel the veggies, and I like to tap them a little bit. I want to get the right one, and I feel like people are looking. It's right at an intersection, or like at a stop. Yeah, I guess a small intersection, and I feel like people are out there at the red light, just looking at me like, go ahead and take it. So I slowly like dangle the money and put it into the box and look them straight in the eye, like, see, I'm paying for it. Get off my back. Now, what's interesting is it's right near a school as well. It's right near a college and a high school. Interesting if they keep the stand up during the school hours, because I think I would maybe, and this is me making my own assumptions, I would assume school kids and broke college kids are more likely to steal than me. I'm not in New York at all, Andrew. No, I'm in Pennsylvania. Nope, not in New York. My family's in New York. I'm in Pennsylvania. One state lower. Well, yeah, Jersey's not a real state. Doesn't count. One state lower. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see if the high school and college students attempt to steal. And again, that's me making my own judgments and use my own stereotypes. But yeah, it's kind of cool. So anyway, I've got a massive amount of zucchini. So when you have any ideas, hit me up on the chat, hit me up on an email. I haven't done zucchini spaghetti yet, but I've been using it in my pasta. So we'll see. And Andrew just learned I wasn't from New York. Nope, not a place I would like to live in. Not at all. Not at all. Charles is from Jersey. He's close. Or is he from? No, he's Jersey. The concrete jungle, Naomi. Yep. My dad didn't know what grass was until like 20 years old. So what is this green stuff on the ground? That's grass. Huh? You mean street? Concrete? Grass. What's grass? So where are you from? Brooklyn? Ah, okay. All right. Concrete jungle, yeah. The city that never sleeps. I like to sleep, hence why, I don't no intentions of living there. And cost of living is horrible. But it's good. It's a good place to visit, I suppose. A lot of touristy people want to visit it. Which is same thing as London. You guys are probably like, oh, London City, whatever. Tourist attraction. All right, so we got 4 minutes before this candle closes. Not looking like we're gonna get that higher high, higher close. But again, if you were, you can look for a move upwards. I asked you guys to type in kind of ideas for target levels. George Latch wrote in 135.80s. George wrote in 136. These are the only people that ever type in their target projections. Thank you for participating, guys. Right? So right up in this area. Here's 136 even, 136 even, 136.80s. And you can see that there's just not a lot of room. You get that higher high, higher close. It has to be at least here. Not a lot of room for profit. Either you're looking there or a little bit higher. Meanwhile, right, where would stops need to be? Below the lows, right? So you're looking at a stop loss probably, I don't even, what the ATR is here, 38. You're looking at a stop loss probably, if you're using an ATR-based stop here, below the 135 even handle, right? Maybe even lower than this. But you can see just very hard to get a very hard to get a quality risk reward. Unless you're shooting for, let's say, these highs, right? 136.30s, then you may be able to get a 1-to-1. Just not a level I would be personally shooting for. So you can see it's not a bad situation that's forming. We haven't got the higher high, higher close. We're probably not going to get it. But it's one of those situations where because we have that lower level of structure that's created, it's just hard for me to get a quality risk reward based on how I take targets. Real quick, just curious to see if a 3D2 comes in at this level as well. A little bit above it. Take that. All right, pound yen on the 60. Sylvia said, nah, I prefer to wait for the break up to the downside. What? The break up to the downside? Something doesn't seem right there. Okay. I'm like, huh? My head just flipped those sides. I'd rather wait for the break to the downside, look for reason to get involved in the trend continuation trade. Yeah, and that would be my preferred way as well. Now, just understand, trend continuation trade isn't as simple as you think, though. Just remember where we're at in terms of previous structure on the daily. And we're at this in a lot of pairs. But target projection may be a little bit tough if you're a true trend following trader. If you're more of a trend continuation trader where you're looking for first targets at a retested structure, then it's easy because your targets are at a retested structure. But if you're someone that's a trend follower, meaning you're looking for the extension, the next move in that trend, things can get a little bit difficult because it's really hard to, you would have to ask yourself the question, think about it like this, where is price likely to go? And there are other ways you can do that. You can do stuff like using one-to-one measured moves. You can do stuff like using Fibonacci's, right? Those are certainly ways you can project targets. You can use, line those up with confluence, say even handle numbers or something like that, or maybe even a certain multiple of the ATR. But you're just not going to have that structure there, which again, for personally speaking, for me, just because I'm so structure based, makes it a little bit more difficult for a trend following situation. But yeah, I think that's certainly the better opportunity. All right, now let's go down to the 60 and then the 15. Latch says something about head and shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Can you argue a head and shoulders on the 15? Probably. Let's see. Yeah, certainly can. Left shoulder right here. Draw the whole thing on. Move down, creating your left shoulder. Here's your head. And then your right shoulder would have been right here. With your inward slanting neckline, you'd much rather have it be inward and outward, in my opinion, just from a risk-reward perspective. Yeah. Certainly make the case for a head and shoulder. If you're using the trend line, a trend line based neckline, your break and close is right here on that green candle. If you're using more of a horizontal support and resistance, then you need that break line to be a little bit higher, up at 135.55. But yeah, definitely had a head and shoulders here, and you had a valid break. So we said, in fact, there's a double top on the 15-minute chart. Now, let me ask you this. All right, so I know you're looking to get short, right? What role, if any, would this double top play in your decision making? Is this a reason to get short? Is this an entry reason? Conservative entry reason? Is it nothing at all? Is it something big? Something in the middle? What role does this play, if any? Meanwhile, let me load up a range bar chart. We can arrange that. Double top, or not double top, gives me, Sylvia's gone missing. Darn it. You can get a better look at your neckline here for the head and shoulders latch. Look at that. Oh, wrong tool. This is a pretty cool look on, you don't have all those wicks getting in the way here on the range bar chart. You got your hold right there, your secondary hold. And then you got your break, and then boom, here's your retest. And then we consolidate, but you could look to kind of play a breakout, right? This pennant pattern, look to play a breakout as an entry reason for that head and shoulders, or kind of combine the head and shoulders and the breakout at the same time. Because you have your valid head and shoulders, if you guys can see it. And then you have your break of the neckline. Now you have this pennant pattern forming. If you're looking for a long based on the head and shoulders, you have your reason for long, and you have a breakout pattern facing or in the same direction, more confluence for the trading opportunity. Things you see on the range bar chart that you don't see on the minute chart, right? Can we see this at all on the 5-minute chart here? Not at all. But this gives you a little bit more perspective. If I do this. So if you're aggressive, I'd buy it right now. Yep, we got 2 and 2. Stops underneath the pennant. Targets, you can either base them off the head and shoulders, or obviously base them off you already looked at structure, you said 135.80s. All know if we're going to see that on this chart. I don't know if enough data here. But 135.80s, I think, was the level that we looked at. Let's see with this one-to-one move. Both of these are going to be a little bit shorter. 1618 should be up at that 80 level. Nope, even that's a little bit short. Yeah, maybe a little bit lower than that 80 level. Maybe 135.68, this little structure in here. Either way, it's a decent risk reward either way you look at it. Yeah, not a bad opportunity at all. Yeah, pretty cool. Okay, any questions on pound yen? Never got a response about my double top question. Sad I am. We'll move on to dollar yen next. As soon as I get a swig of my cucumber and lime water. About to throw some zucchini in it. Feeling younger by the sip. USD JPY. We are at 121. Let's get to business here and check it out. As always, let's start on the daily. You can see dollar yen here potentially setting up a head and shoulders as well. Nasty looking one, but looking at a potential retest of the neckline and a right shoulder currently forming. Keep that in the back of your head. As mentioned before, I'm looking for a break to the upside. That's going to be the ideal move. Not a lot of room to move higher from there, but a break of 108.80s would be big. If you're looking for a buying opportunity, we did come down to the level of structure that we looked at yesterday. This retracement right in here. I believe I think we were a little bit short of a potential cipher. Yeah, check your data, either short or right on. I think I was a little bit short, but let me double check. X to A, A to B, B to C. Yeah, I think I was just short. But check that C leg, you may have a potential cipher as well if we go lower. But yeah, we may have you're at structure right here. This can either be again, it could be that right shoulder. You can look for that turnaround and a retest higher. Could be the right shoulder of a head and shoulders top as well. Which one is it, guys? Is it the right shoulder of a bigger head and shoulders? Is it the right shoulder of a smaller head and shoulders? Or do we not know? Yeah, we don't know. It could be either. At this point, there's no way to tell. All you can do is prepare. Heading down to the 60. Oh, and I can see the bat you're looking at. We'll check it out in the 15. But 60 again, you can see the retest of previous structure lows. We did hold this level. And let's go one more time frame down. Looks like we have a small bat pattern forming. If I zoom in the charts, looking at an X leg starting up here, 107.92, swing high to swing low, X to A to B, B to C, and we would have a CD completion right at 107.87. 107.87 for potential bear bat pattern here on the dollar yen. On this time frame, looks to be about 13 pips of potential profit before front running and about 10 pips of potential stop loss. Good find. Let's head down to the 5-minute chart. More of the same. Any questions on dollar yen? We did have Canada news earlier too. Forgot all about that. I was wondering what happened with the Canadian pairs. All right. Speaking of Canada, let's head over to the loonie. Euro yen is starting to rally up. A little bit too late, Euro yen. Should have rallied up on the first cipher instead of costing me my money. Took my money, and now you're reversing and laughing in my face. Don't you hate when the markets do that? Look you in the eyes, they wink, and then they turn around. Darn market makers. Knowing where my stop losses are at and purposely taking them. All right. Dollar Canada on the daily. If you guys remember, we're looking at a retest of our lower level of structure. We did test that level. We did retrace off of it. We did come back down. We currently have a double bottom here on the daily. Now, again, this it's a daily candle. So on this time frame, it will not be complete until the end of the day. And that's kind of the cool thing about the daily chart is you have the luxury of sitting back and saying, I have this many hours to prepare and re-prepare on how I want to attack this opportunity. I suppose on the negative side, you also have time to overthink and get kind of that dreaded paralysis by analysis that we talked about earlier. But nice double bottom on the daily. Currently, RSI does give us divergence. Not an ideal structure trade, again, because of the different levels of structure created. So very, very hard for target placement. But that's what we've been seeing with most of our pairs this year, unfortunately. Going down to the 4 hour, you can get a secondary look at our retested structure, right? Price action came down, rallied off of it, actually created a higher high, higher close looking left here. And now we're coming down to probe this level. I'm not too interested in this opportunity as a longer term swing trader. But I'll tell you what, if we can get a hold at this level, especially as we look on the 60, if we can get a hold of this level, it can set us up. And again, I want to see a test, but I don't want to see too big of a test, right? Why would I think like that? Like I want to see a test of this level, but don't test too much. Think pound yen, because it throws off stops. If we can get a test of this level, and let's say we end up, and we'll look on the 60, but let's say we get an entry here and the wick doesn't really move that much lower than here. This could actually be a pretty decent trade setup because you're going to have stops about right there. And you can have targets that have retested these highs up here. And that can actually provide you with a pretty decent risk reward. CTS opportunity, no. Could be, yeah. If you look at the higher time frames, if you want to grow your CTS system, right? A few things that we have here is we have the AB equals CD pattern. That would give you 2 points. Zoop. You have the 1618 Fibonacci confluence. That would give you another point. Zoop. Oh, a little bit off there, but we were right down in that zone. You have, or was it the 1618 inversion? Maybe it was a 1618 inversion. We had Fib confluence down there. There we go, the 1618 inversion down to that level. We have structure on the higher time frame, major structure on the higher time frame. That will give you another 2 points, right? You're looking at 2, 4, 5. You're looking at a double bottom, right, on the daily. That can give you 6. If you're using the 4 hour, you're not going to have that. You're not going to have necessarily that double bottom. You're not going to have the RSI oversold, but you're still looking at about a CTS of 5 here on the 4 hour chart. So yeah, I think it's certainly a CTS opportunity. Yep. And I mean, basically any trade could be a CTS opportunity, to be honest with you. Depends on how you want to use your CTS. If you want to use it simply for structure trades, if you want to use it simply for trend continuation trades, what have you. By the way, pound yeners, as promised, here's your breakout happening. 35.68s. That's where I'm looking for. 35.68s. These are the breaks. So yeah, certainly a CTS opportunity in there. Let's go down to the hourly here. So hourly again, we're getting a zoomed in picture of a retest of these lows here on the hourly. Once again, we get a good rejection here. We can look for a move higher. Structure is going to change, however, a little bit on the hourly though. You're going to have an inside level of structure here, right around 31s. Now that may influence how you take the trade. You may take everything off it there. Should still be able to, if we get a hold, get a pretty good risk reward there. Again, the key is going to be if we can get a hold. This is an hourly candle. We're not going to know how this candle prints until 10 o'clock, so 45 minutes from now, I should say. And then most of you, right? Most of you probably just can't trade off of a single candle. You may need some confirmation. So you're looking at 2 hours in advance. And again, that's kind of the cool thing about being a swing trader. You can look at this right now and say to yourselves, okay, well, I can't possibly take this trade until 11 o'clock. And you can set your day up accordingly. You can say, I'm going to head out for lunch a little bit earlier. I'm going to, take a little bathroom break with the laptop and check it out. But you know well in advance what you need to happen before it needs to happen. So pretty cool opportunity. Yeah, and as Sylvia mentioned, you can make your own CTS. Looks like you can make your own CTS opportunity here on the hourly too, not even taking the higher time frames into account. Once again, you have another AB equals CD pattern. You have, you've got your 1618 Fibonacci confluence, right? So right now you have a CTS of 3. You can add structure looking left. That's going to give you a CTS of 4. If you're using higher time frame confirmation, that'll give you a CTS of 5. And then whatever else happens before that, before you get your entry reason, you can build up to, build up from there. So yeah, all in all, decent opportunity. You can even make the case for a bat. It wouldn't be one that I would do. This leg's a little iffy, but I can see it. I know how you guys think, right? I can see you making the case for a bat as well. And if that's the case, that gives you an even more aggressive. That gives you an aggressive buy right now. Hey, David, we have not. We're actually doing the Aussie dollar next. You came right in time. By the way, again, right? This is a trade right here. We talked about this earlier. Write this one down. Take a picture of it. It's a perfect example of combining two separate traditional pattern formations together. You have one thing that gives you one idea. You have another thing that gives you another idea. They complement each other in kind of the perfect scenario, mainly because that wedge pattern comes after the break of structure. And this is one of the things we had a good conversation on intuition earlier. I'm not sure if you would call this intuition. Well, if you're someone that doesn't trade this, I guess you can call it intuition. And then this would be a good example of going back and adding rules where you look at this, you're like, man, I see this consolidation right after the break. I have this feeling it's going to explode. You go back, you look at it, you realize this was actually a simple pattern formation, and now you can make that quote unquote intuition rules based. Did you Euro Yen traders hit targets yet? I'm jealous of you guys. Or is it nowhere near that Euro Yen cipher? I feel like it's a much bigger cipher. So I don't think you did. Well, almost halfway there. Living on a prayer. All right. Any questions on dollar Canada before we go to the Aussie dollar? Aussie dollar put in a nice retracement this morning / last night. That'll be a fun one to check out. All right. If I remember correctly, I think it was Aussie dollar. Retesting the structure. Yep. Rallying back up to previous structure highs. Look at that. I know my pairs. So if you remember Aussie dollar yesterday, right? We looked at this situation. We had one where we had just broke below, rallied all the way up, just broke above. Yesterday, we had put in some relief. And we're looking for a potential trend continuation opportunity, but it was an early one because we technically did not have a trend. And the whole conversation was being aggressive and entering the trend before you have a valid trend. And we also threw in some conversation about target projection because there's not a lot of room for expansion there. But it was a good level on the technicals. After Aussie, can we look at dollar Swiss? Sure. So Aussie, we got a retracement. This was the zone we were looking for a retracement to. I think it lined up with a 382, if my memory suits me correct. Yep, 382 Fibonacci retracement. We came down. RSI went oversold, right? And now we rallied up. Now, on the 4 hour, you can look at this and be like, oh, nice move in hindsight. In the 4 hour, I don't think there was any way to get involved unless you were super aggressive. The hourly may have a different story to tell, but this was one of those basically V reversals, right? We always talk about good moves don't last. Well, the market came down. I guess you can say we consolidated for 2 bars and then came right back up. Even on the lower time frame, 60-minute chart, same type of deal. I guess you may have, I guess technically you would have gotten a higher high, higher close right here if you're super aggressive. This wouldn't have been, for me, this wouldn't have been a situation where I would have been super aggressive. Very shallow pullback. It's a level of structure, not your greatest level of structure. We didn't test the lows of those structure. I would have waited for a conservative entry, to be honest. Easy in hindsight to say, oh yeah, I would have took it right there and rode it up, yeah. But in reality, I wouldn't have. I would have waited for a double bottom. The double bottom never would have occurred. The market would have rallied up, and I would have been like, just missed it. Snapping with my fingers, not with my tongue. But yeah, pretty nice rally back at the previous structure. It was on my radar this morning to look at. We were trading about right here when I did my pre-market with this break. I was going to look on the range bar charts to see if there's any way we can catch the rest of the move up from here to here. But that just didn't happen. Possible double top? Yes. The question is this a double top that you want to sell? So that's going to be the main question of when you look at this from a trading perspective, is the where always matters more than the what. So when we come into trading, we don't just want to look for certain things. We just don't want to look for, ooh, AB equals CD. Ooh, double top. Because I can tell you this, if you trade every single double top, you're going to go broke. If you trade with no filters and whatnot, you're going to go broke. If you trade every AB equals CD pattern with no filters, you're going to go broke. So the question that we want to ask ourselves first is, are we looking to sell? If the answer is yes, then yeah, a double top would be a technique that you can use to sell. If your answer is no, however, then does a double top have any purpose? No. So the question that you need to ask yourself is, when you go through your IPDE process, do you want to be a seller? So David said, I looked left and I saw structure in the RSI nearly oversold. So what you're doing right now, David, is you're looking for the what, not the where. So let's go through the process. What's your higher time frame? So when you go through your IPDE process, what is your higher time frame? And I'm not saying you're wrong or right, but we want to make sure we're going through the process in a consistent fashion, right? Consistent analysis, consistent execution, consistent results. So the 240 is your higher time frame. Now, do you place your trades off the 240 or off the hourly? All right, so 240, 240, perfect. All right, so let's look at the 240 and let's go through our process, right? So let's identify what has price action done here on the 240. And I want you to be very confident in your answers. I don't want you to assume that you're wrong. Again, I'm not here to tell you you're right or wrong. I'm here to make sure you're going through the process the correct way. You'll see a lot of traders, right, when I'll challenge them and they'll be like, oh, they automatically assume they're wrong. No, you're not wrong. You were right the entire time. I just want to make sure you knew why you were right. But I get that all the time where people back up off their ideas. But yeah, so identify. What do you identify? What has price action done? Where is price action trading? And this can be a whole group. It doesn't have to be Dave. It could be a whole group. Turn on your mics and let's all shout at the same time. So what's the first thing we should look at? Let's look at previous structure looking left, right? We know that we've been in, and David said we've identified a bearish trend, right? Easy way to tell for you guys that are new, we're moving from the top left-hand corner to the bottom right, right? So we've identified a bearish trend. We'll just draw it out simply, bloop, 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 bloop. This is our new structure low, correct? Which makes this level right here, makes it our what? This is our outside return, right? Do you guys agree? If you guys are brand new, you may not get this. This is perfectly fine. You'll understand once you go through the course material. So if you don't get it right now, just relax. You'll understand this, right? So this is our outside return, right? Everyone agree? New structure low, outside return. Perfect, right? So we know these are the important parts in our trading because, right, these are our decision points, right? Price action breaks and closes below our new structure low here. We have confirmation of the bearish trend. If price action violates our outside return, then what does that mean? Are we still in a bearish trend or do we go into a type of rotation? We go into a bullish rotation, right? So what happens at this level is very important. So let's ask ourselves, what happens at this level? Because obviously price has tested it. Do we violate or do we hold it? And we'll take George's trick. Let's actually get to the highs of this because I believe we hold it, but let me double check. We have a high of 70.22. We have a close of 70.21. So do we hold or do we violate this level? We hold. Now, the difficult part in this situation is that we have the gap higher. So visually, it's going to be a little bit weird because we have the gap higher, and then we immediately engulf that down. But that's big, the engulfment down, right? So we're technically holding this level, right? We never closed above this level. There was never a close. There was an open, but there was never a close below this level on this time frame. So there's no violation of your trend. So that goes into what you were saying earlier, David, right? So we're still in the bearish move, which makes it, in my opinion, okay to look for bearish opportunities. Now, if we had did you look at this at all? Was this part of the process that you went through? Or did you just look for the double top? Yes. Okay, perfect. Because many people simply look for the what? They just see, ooh, double top, trade it. You got to go through the process. That way you make sure you're trading on the right side of the market. So we have this. We then retrace down and we come back up. And we're looking to put in a double top, right? So we know for a double top, we need to come into this level up here to give us a valid double top. Is there anything else that, or what else do you need to take the trade, right? Because you've identified what the market has done. You've made a prediction, double top. Is there anything else that you need in your trading plan to actually execute the trade? So you need a valid double top, and then if you get a valid double top, then you look for a lower low, lower close candlestick formation. In this case, because it's a double top. All right. So, looks like you have your valid double top as of now, right? Obviously, there's the market still has to close. You have another 3.5 hours before this candle closes. But if you get your valid double top in the next 3.5 hours, then you go to the next part of your trading plan. David says the next part of the plan says look for lower low, lower close. Then if you get a lower low, lower close, where do your targets go? Or where? Let's do stops first. Where would stops go? David says 1 ATR above the highs. So you're looking at about 50s, 70, 50s. Boom. And Targets. First target 1.5 stop loss. Ooh, you know I hate that. You know I hate that. Okay, so we can't measure out target right now because we don't know what the stop loss is going to be. But what I would say at this point, if you have an idea on where you're taking targets at, right? You draw out your targets because you're using a lower low, lower close method. Draw out your targets. Bring that Fibonacci on. You know that this is going to be your halfway point, and you'll know that as long as your lower low, lower close completes above this level, and again, assuming you require a 1-to-1 risk reward, you can adjust it to whatever your risk reward is. But if you require a 1-to-1 risk reward minimum, if your lower low, lower close closes above this level, then you know you can take the trade and maintain the risk reward that you want. If not, then you may have to wait for an alternative way to get involved. Second target is trailing, okay? Trailing until where? Trailing until stopped out or trailing to a specific level? For you guys that are new, you're like, these are all the things I need to think about? Yes. Trail until stopped out. Now, I'm assuming, I know you say you don't trade this way. Is that have you tested that, or is this kind of just like like a theory of how you would like to trade this type of deal? So I would say this, and again, don't let my views influence your back testing numbers. Your back testing numbers will always be more important. But two things, right? So one, in my experience, I think there always needs to be an ultimate destination. Because typically trailing until you're stopped out will cost you more. It depends on how you trail. It depends on your trail style. Again, I trail on structure. If you have a much tighter version of trailing, that's going to change things. But typically, trailing is going to it's going to get you stopped out for less money than having a set position. Now that set position could be far away, but we understand that nothing goes up or nothing goes down forever. So I think there, in my philosophy, there needs to be a point where you say, okay, well, this is kind of the ultimate place I think price will go. Because eventually we'll get to a place where it's like, we'll get to a place where it's like, price goes down here and this is the ultimate destination, but instead of taking profit off, we're still trailing, and then it reverses and takes us out for a lot more. Also, and this would work in this case, but for those just on the topic of trailing stops, probably a much better idea of trailing stops when you're with the underlying trend than against it. And we'll see some traders trail stops sometimes when they're in counter trend moves, and you got to tell them, you realize a counter trend move is, you're looking for really only a short-lived move here, not a full extension. So those are two things that you want to consider when trailing stops. But yeah, good example of rules, good examples of going through the process. If you are a newer trader listening to this, this is what professional trading looks like. You have rules, you have a process, you follow. Obviously, you test them and go through the ringer and all that stuff, but then you follow them consistently in the markets. I see some other chatter going on. Can't be below the 50%. David, when would you consider the move made before entry? Trails will stop out. Keeping stop loss equal distance from third bar. Not testing yet, only theory. Finding it in back testing. George said I'd still be in the pound yen, or pound dollar, plus 200 if you didn't trail, George, or if you did. Latch is saying, when do you consider a double top to be made? Like, how deep can the market retrace, I guess, before you no longer consider it a double top or double bottom? So like if you have your double top here, how deep can this retracement be? Could it be here and still consider it a double top? Could it be all the way down here and still consider it a double top? I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's what he's asking. I got really hungry all of a sudden. It's giving up the eggs, man. That's what it is. I haven't been able to get a good filling breakfast. Today I didn't. I want to give these eggs one more try, but I'm scared. And David says, honestly, I have not made a rule for it. Something I need to look into. All right, let's go down to, did we do the 60 lower time frames on Aussie? I think we did. Let's just review them again if we didn't. Good stuff. That's a good segment here. Let's go down to the 15 and 5 on Aussie. Any questions on the Aussie dollar or anything that we went through? Ooh, that's a nice little head and shoulders break too. Yeah, look at that. That would have been a way to get involved, actually. 4:30 this morning. All right, let's go to dollar Swiss. I believe it is. I promise next. Swissy. Dollar Swiss, 153, 154. USD, CHF, 154. Dollar Swiss. Did this Gartley ever play out? Or does Cypher ever play out for you guys? On the daily? Oh, getting close. Getting close. Nice. All right, let's see what's happening here on Swiss. No need to be scared of eggs. Do the glass water trick. What's the glass water trick? I don't think you know why I'm scared of eggs, Gabby. But I'm interested in hearing the glass water trick. Always wanted to be a magician. I do think that is a cool talent to have, to be able to do magic tricks or skill. All right, until we hear about this glass water trick, which I do want to hear about it. But no, I think I may be becoming allergic to eggs. That's the thing. If the egg stays at the bottom but down fresh, but if it's butt up, so if it floats above the glass, it's bad. If it sinks low, nice. I'm gonna try that when we close down the room. But yeah, I don't know. It could be it could be the batch. So I'll check the batch of eggs we have. We have 3 different batches, but I bought them all within the same period. I'll check them. But yeah, my last 3 encounters with eggs haven't gone really well. I haven't gotten sick, I haven't gotten sick, but I've gotten a little nausea. And then I think it's mental now. I started thinking about eggs and started feeling it. Let's hope it doesn't go there. All I need is more PTSD, right? That's all I need. Yeah, it's got to be a density thing. I just usually wait to see if I hear chirping. If I hear chirping in the eggs, and I know I shouldn't eat it. That's when I know it went bad. If I crack it open and something smiles at me, I know it's too late. Or or too early. There we go. Yeah, no, yeah. That is just. It's like, yeah, that's what we do. We don't waste food around here. So once the eggs get expired, we just wait until they become chickens, and then breakfast becomes lunch. Just like how milk becomes yogurt and yogurt becomes cheese if you keep it long enough, right? Same thing. All right, dollar Swiss. Let's go through the process. Like we got off track, so let's change this to 158 when we start it. Let's look at our previous level of structure. Let's see what price has done at previous level of structure. Have we violated or have we held? Now I'm getting really hungry, man. Although I am dropping some lbs, man. I'm dropping some pounds. Looked in the mirror this morning. Had to wink at myself. Looking pretty good. Then I ate, got bloated, and all went downhill. But we have held structure. So we have held previous structure, and we have retraced right back up into what was our previous structure low before that was violated. This is one of those situations where my view of the market, I don't trade dollar Swiss, but if I did, I would have very similar to euro dollar, and these pairs are basically the inverse of each other. But this would be a situation where I am swing trading wise. I am not interested in anything long. I am not interested in anything short. Right. So I would not be interested in anything short because we have not violated structure to the downside. So there is nothing on this chart that tells me we are more likely to continue lower. Right? We've come to previous structure support. And who won? Bulls or bears? Bulls won. Right? I am not interested in anything long because we've already rallied up to the level in which I would project price to go to if I were long at that lower level. So we're at a level of indecision. We head down to the 240 to 4-hour time frame. You see the market is putting in a little bit of a consolidation pattern. We put in a one-to-one move, one-to-one measured move up to this level. We've then started to consolidate. So once again, if you're a flag pattern trader, you can look for a breakout, perhaps a continuation higher to our next level of structure. That would give you another one-to-one move. That will complete your 3 drives as well. 1, 2, 3. Let's go down to the 60. Yep. 60-minute chart here. And that flag pattern looks different on the 60. So you can look at it as being a flag consolidation pattern on the 4-hour time frame. Here on the 60-minute chart, slightly different story. This is going to be more of a kind of a double top up here, followed by a double bottom down here. I guess triple bottom down there. So it's more of a mess here on the 60-minute time frame. Any questions on the dollar Swiss? I know Antoine wanted to take a look at it. Any questions on what we looked at? It'd be a decent buying opportunity on the 240 if I thought we were going to go higher. But it'd be a decent breakout trade looking for a retest of the previous highs here. Probably $1 even would be the ideal location. Psychological number, previous structure, looks to be a 1618 Fibonacci extension. Right below that. I think that's a great target place to look for if you're looking to get long. Oh my God, I want to interview and I can't hear you. Look at that. I did all this for you and you weren't even here for it. Shame, shame, shame. Shame, shame, shame. By the way, I did a Twitter poll the other day. I was talking about going back and watching Breaking Bad again. 56% of those who filled out the poll, and there were a lot of them that did it, thought Breaking Bad was the best series of all time. Thought it was the best television series of all time. It's a surprising amount, considering how many other series are out there. There was a lot of Sopranos answers. There was a lot of... There was some Game of Thrones. I think the last season probably ruined it for some people. There were, what was another one? Not Westwood. Sons of Anarchy was on there. Yeah, I started. I was catching up on Better Call Saul, and for Better Call Saul is basically it's the precursor of Breaking Bad essentially. It's the story around the lawyer and kind of the whole how his story got started and relates to many of the drug dealers and whatnot in Breaking Bad. So I've been watching Better Call Saul, and I was like, you know what? This makes me want to binge watch if I have time, and I probably won't. This makes me want to binge watch Breaking Bad again. Because you can view it with, I like watching things twice, especially when you can view it with a little different perspective. And that is what sparked the question. I said, is it the best series ever? I've only watched Game of Thrones rewatch value is 0. Yeah, you're probably right about that. I watched the first 3 episodes of Sons of Anarchy. I was supposed to watch it last year, and then I got 3 in and I just couldn't. I liked it. I just ran out of time. Hey, no problem. Vikings is great. is ending after 2 more series. Maybe best to rewatch the 2 together in 2 years' time. Man, I don't know if I'm going to be here in 2 years' time. So, well, yeah, that would make sense though. Tim says, try again. It gets so much better. I really enjoyed it, Tim. I liked it. It was at a time where I don't, I don't have a lot of time to binge watch. So usually it just becomes like sporadically. It's like a day where it's like, man, I got an hour. I don't feel like doing anything, or 2 hours. Let me just throw something on. And I thought I was going to have time last year to do it. It was last summer when I started. And then I just got, I want to say, distracted doing work. But I chose to actually do work over watching it, and that stopped. So hopefully I'll have another chance. I probably would have done next. And this year when I had time to watch Better Call Saul, I probably should have done Sons of Anarchy. I had forgot all about it because I only got a couple episodes in. But I liked it. Biker gang. True Detective. I heard stuff about that too. Yeah. Only season 1 or all of them? The Wire. That would, The Wire would probably be second on my list. I'll tell you what though. It was The Wire's, was it the 3rd season? The 3rd season where they went away from, it was like the story concentrated on like the Polish drug trade. Was that it? One of those seasons. It might have been the 3rd season. One of the seasons killed it for me. When they got away from Baltimore, or like the streets of Baltimore, the main part of The Wire, and they did a full season where they just, it was focused on a different group, and it just didn't make sense to me. I think they tried something, and it just, I didn't really like it. So there was that one season where they kind of got off track with the story, and that kind of takes it one notch down for me. I think they could have. I think they, if they would have taken that season out of it. Don't get me wrong. I like McNulty. If they would have taken that season out of it and ended it a little bit sooner, I think it would have been classic. I mean, it is classic. I think it might have been the best. I think they went a little too long. But that's a great series, yeah. Stranger Things, yeah. Stranger Things, too young for me, too new for me yet. Right? Only 2 seasons in so far, so it's, we gotta let it go. Give it some time. A lot of people would say Walking Dead. That's just gone on. I've lost interest in Walking Dead. What's another one? We'll finish. We'll get to New Zealand. The thing with Walking Dead is I don't think there's never going to be a conclusion, or they're never going to tell me how it actually happened. Orange is the New Black. That's a good one. That's the thing about Walking Dead. They're never going to tell me how it happened. At least I don't think so. I don't think there's any intentions of it. Is there? Of telling us how it happened in the first place? I didn't finish the last season. Orange is the New Black is good. Some good stuff out there. Ozark, again, too young. That's basically like Breaking Bad. Ozark, but only two seasons. So we gotta let it go some more. I used to like Luther. For you guys in the UK, you guys watch that Luther? They showed it here on the BBC. And I'm an Idris Elba fan. I like Luther, even though it was kind of weird. It was kind of, you guys are dark over there, man. It was kind of dark and weird, but I liked it. It was raw. Peaky Blinders. That sounds. I feel like I'm gonna get in trouble watching that. What is that about? What's Peaky Blinders? Helen watches it. Nice. What's Peaky Blinders about, real quick? We're so off track today. Oh, old English gangsters. I like gangsters. I think I would like that. I respect it from a business perspective. I love watching movies about gangsters and mobs, the good ones at least, from an entrepreneur perspective. And then Tom Hardy, of course, and he's shirtless, I bet, isn't he? At some point. At some point, Tom Hardy shows up shirtless. Naomi's like, yeah. All right, let's go to, someone mentioned New Zealand dollars. So let's get back to something constructive. I got so many shows now. Some new trader just came in as we're mentioning shirtless Tom Hardy, and you're like, come on. I'm trying to think of stuff I recently, Gotham. That could have been done better, but I enjoyed it. Here we go. Here's a good one. Not a series. We'll end on this. I just watched not the new Spider-Man, but Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. That was really good. Anybody see that? The cartoon Spider-Man one? Visually, it was amazing. And the movie, the visually, it was amazing. I thought the plot was amazing. I just threw it on because I thought my kid liked Spider-Man, so I thought, it was a rainy Saturday and we're looking for something to do. It was a really good movie, man. I wish I would have seen it in the theater on like the big screen. Just visually, it was amazingly done, and the story was pretty decent. Aside from like, well, I'm not gonna tell you. I won't spoil it, but aside from some stuff where my kid started crying, I'm like, come on, no, don't. He's okay. They were just joking. But yeah, we watched it the other day, just by pure accident. That was really, really good. All right. Yeah, that's when you gotta lie as a parent. You started asking me questions. Hey, Kia or Dad, is he gonna be okay? Yeah, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. And they're at like a funeral. Yeah, they're just joking. It's part of the trick, man. He's tricking them. He's tricking them, son. He's gaining the advantage. It's gonna be a surprise attack, and he'll forget it. I look at my wife. But aside from that, he watched it. He enjoyed it. All right, New Zealand dollar on the daily. We got a break above, close above. Retest of structure and prices making its way back up to previous structure highs. Very similar to what we had on Aussie dollar, except we have this clear break here. We're on Aussie dollar. We had kind of the gap and then engulfment back down. So as a day trader, there may be room to catch a move from here to here. Maybe some small opportunity in there. Nice 3-bar reversal that's forming. Again, the question is, what type of trader are you? Can you play stops in a way that gives you a valid risk reward? But you got a nice double bottom that formed. You got a break and close of that V point. Very good bullish sign here on New Zealand dollar daily. We go down to the 4-hour. Not as appetizing, believe it or not. Again, we're looking for this area of structure on this pair. That on the 4-hour, looking for a price to really come down to about 66.35s. We did not retrace there. Now we could still see a move back to that level, but we did not initially get there on the first test. If you're looking for a trend continuation trade, in my opinion, obviously we could get a complex pullback where we get another move back down to that level. We may get an advanced pattern formation as well. Looks like that would give us a bat pattern. So you can look to use X to A to B, B to C, C to D down there. Again, either a complex pullback or a bat pattern as an entry reason into a bigger trade. Or you can wait for the break of structure. You can wait for more of a breakout type trade, wait for this A leg or this previous structure high to be violated, and then look to see if you can catch the next move higher. Speaking of which, real quick, just eyeballing this. Man, that would have just missed. We're looking at, 68s? I think it was. The lows of this structure. Look at that. Right below there. Hit the 127, would have just missed that 68 level. that would have been tough to deal with if you were just above there. All right, let's go down to the 60 on the Kiwi. That's why you front run structure. That's why you front run. 60-minute on New Zealand dollar. I don't see any reason. There's a head and shoulders, perhaps on a lower time frame. I don't see any reason to really get involved at this test. So again, once again, hindsight, you always want to review your trading, ask yourself what you could have done. Could you do anything better? I don't see there being a reason here. The fact is we broke and closed below previous structure. We then started moving up in a flag type pattern. I would have predicted a breakout to the downside. Now I know in hindsight that's not what happened, but let's imagine ourselves trading the market live. I would have seen this as a breakout to the downside, or projected it breakout to the downside. We actually did kind of get that. We just didn't get the follow through and we came back up. But unless you went to the head and shoulders, maybe on the 15, not even sure if you would have been able to see this in real time. That's the only way I could have seen getting involved on the way up. But I'll tell you what. Here's what's interesting. Maybe you would have had your eye. Yeah. Yeah, maybe you could have your eyes on that. That would have been a tough one to see in real time. Now in the range bar charts, just like our other pair, a lot clearer. So yeah, a lot clearer here on the range bar charts. That's a different story. A lot clearer here on the range bar charts. So I still think we can rally up. I think we'll retest the highs, just based on pure technical analysis. Let's go to a higher time frame. I think we should retest these highs. We're kind of stalling a little bit above the 67-cent even handle, 67.23s. So if you can find a reason on the lower time frame, the 5-minute chart and a range bar chart, you do have a little bit of minor structure in your way, and that's going to happen when you go down to the lower time frames. But if you can find a way to get involved, I think you can predict the move up to 67.25s, that level. Questions on New Zealand dollar? Long second part of our session, I know. Longer day today. Are there any other pairs you guys want to take a look at today? We had a cipher on gold. I don't know if that's still playing out or not. Not tier1trading.com. Trading View. But thank you for taking me to my site first. I got to make a decision about this Trading View thing as well. My Trading View subscription. Cipher on gold. That's played out already though. Not continue. No, well, I have a whatever the top membership is what I have, and I don't really use TradingView for anything promotional, just for charting. So I got to go down. I want to go back down to the whatever the basic subscription is, just to save money. Again, I used the pro for, I don't even know why I had a pro membership. Probably to shamelessly promote myself. That's my guess. But I don't actually post on TradingView anymore. I haven't consistently posted on TradingView probably in over a year. Maybe some spurts, but yeah, I just don't use it. I just don't use it. So that money can go to other places. But I don't remember the last time. When was the last time I posted? Any guesses? Anybody want to take a guess before I bring it up? March 14th. There you go. March 14th, March 13th, March 12th. Look at that. I had a streak. March 11th. I had a 1, 2, 3, 4-day streak. So I probably told myself that, like, I'm gonna start posting every day and blah 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 blah. And then I started saying it's not worth the time. You can see before that was November 13th. Probably another 4-day streak. Look at that, November 5th, November 6th, November 9th. And then it was a month before that, October. And then, yeah. So, any questions before we call it a week? I'm gonna go dip some eggs in water. Hopefully I'll be in the chat later. I got a few meetings lined up, but I feel like I'm gonna cancel them because I don't feel like going. So I may just be hanging out on the chat. But hope you guys have a great weekend. I don't know if there's going to be, I'll try to do a weekend trading edge. I got a wedding to go to on Friday. I don't know when it is, but if it's later, I'll try to get one out to you guys, or maybe Saturday, depending on how the weekend goes. My dad may be coming up, so I don't know if there's gonna be a weekend trading edge video. We shall see. But if not, I'll see you in the Q&A Monday. Knock on wood, no internet problems. If you guys have any questions, shoot it to me. Thank you. Hopefully hopefully the USA get a win today. If not, it'd be kind of bittersweet, but it would be Jamaica winning as well, who I also root for, so that'll be fun. But until next time, plan your trade your plan. Take care.